So welcome to our Northern Powerhouses Business Success Story series of interviews, where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what drives them forward. Today we have with us Clara Challoner-Walker of the Cosy Cottage Soap Company based in Malton. So Clara, thanks for coming on board with our interview today, and perhaps if you could introduce yourself and your company and how you help your clients.
Yeah, so I'm Clara Challoner-Walker. I, many years ago, took a degree in chemistry and became an associate of the Royal College of Science, and I've maintained an interest in chemistry, particularly the types of things we put on our bodies, the types of things that we put into the environment. For many years now, it's been a lifelong interest. So I was absolutely delighted 5 years ago to have the opportunity to leave the job that I'd done for many years. It was a great job with a lovely company, but it was time to do something else, and to leave that and to set up my own company, which was the Cosy Cottage Soap Company, which I saw initially as a way to offer products to the public, which gave them a different choice to the range of commercially produced products on the market. So the objectives from the start, which have remained our objectives throughout, are to produce natural bathing and skincare products and associated gifts, things without detergents, parabens, and similar potentially harmful additives, to work palm oil free, because there's a lot of discussion about the adverse impact of palm oil on the environment, to work plastic free, and to work cruelty free. So it was really about bringing together that full equation and offering customers a choice. Wow,
that's very exciting. I just consistently amazed by how amazing companies we have just in our local area. So it's great to learn a little bit about what you do. You've talked a little bit about your background. What was the key driver for getting into business and this particular business for you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, I worked, I mentioned the great company I worked for before. So the company I worked for before was IBM, which is a very large global technology company.
Yes.
And that really was an amazing grounding for business and technology and data and understanding customers. And as time went on, I worked for them for a very long time. I'm very old. So as time went on, it just became a real burning desire to run my own business, to use, if you like, the skills that I had developed over, 30 odd years, to also bring in my interest, which I'd kept from university in chemistry, pharmaceuticals, cell biology, those sorts of things, and to bring that all together and to launch my own business. So I did resign from IBM and started up on my own. That had really been a sort of a growing dream. I won't say it's a lifelong dream, but it's a sort of thing that started to really niggle. And I think you get to an age around sort of 50 and you think, if I don't hurry up and do something else now, I'll just work for IBM forever, which would have been nice, but it was time to do something else.
Wonderful. That's great how the sort of entrepreneurial spark sort of gradually grew and became something you couldn't resist.
Uncontainable. Yes, that's
uncontainable.
Right.
That's the word. Brilliant. So looking at where you've come to so far in terms of your business and being an entrepreneur, what would you say some of the biggest issues you've had to face and overcome?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. So I think often there's a thing about self-confidence. So I think when I started, I genuinely did start from scratch. I developed an understanding of the legislation that I needed to comply with, developed an understanding of the trading standards type stuff I needed to comply with. I did loads and loads of reading on, online, got in touch with loads of people, got loads of advice. And I think you start from a perspective of, oh my goodness, I know absolutely nothing, and I've got so much to learn. I developed some recipes, and I must admit it helped having the background in chemistry and cell biology to develop the recipes. But I think often we underestimate the value of the life experiences we have.
Yep.
You know, and I think, you know, there are a lot of people, you know, who are very keen to give advice, and I think often we you know, we sort of think, oh, we better take all that advice because it must be right, because I don't know anything. And I think one of the hurdles to overcome is really to develop that vision really clearly in your own mind, and to fall in love with that vision, and then to follow it. And, you know, if people challenge it and question it, absolutely listen to what they've got to say and see whether what they've got to say has value, but don't automatically assume that because it's someone else's opinion, it has more value than your own. So, you know, it's sort of learning really to have confidence and fall in love with your vision and follow it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It's as you say, it's good to be challenged, because
absolutely
that identifies areas that may need to be developed further. But, you know, ultimately, most successful people, they plough their own furrow, and because of that, they've created something new and unique, and therefore, you know, a new marketplace. Being, you know, just repeating what other people have done is fine, and actually is quite an effective way of growing a business, but it's not unique, and it's not going to get the sort of levels of growth that we can get by creating something that's close to our vision. And if we're not close to our vision and our values, then passion typically drops up over time. If we start living somebody else's dream or somebody else's vision, it's difficult to maintain the same level of passion, I would think.
Yeah, and we you know, when you're setting up and running your own company, you have a unique opportunity to make a real difference. You have a unique opportunity to make a real difference in the market in which you are the market you're creating, if you like, you know, like the alternative choices that you can then offer to customers, so that they can make more ethical decisions. But also in the community in which you operate, you have a real opportunity to offer job opportunities to people, you know, to offer job opportunities perhaps to people who may find it difficult to get jobs otherwise. You know, there are a lot of people in our communities, you know, who may, I mean, the particular interest I have in mind is adults with Down syndrome, for example, you know, to try and carve out opportunities for them, to try and carve out opportunities for older people who, you know, maybe feel like they're sort of not necessarily welcomed in a lot of workplaces, but actually have a lot of value to bring. You know, that there are many areas in the community, ex-offenders, you know, that we have the unique capability to offer a lot. We have the unique capability to make a difference to the high street too, you know, by taking on premises in town centres, brownfield sites that perhaps are a bit tatty and a bit unpleasant, you know, and developing businesses in those places, making them look attractive, bringing people into the town centre to work. You know, we can really make a difference by through entrepreneurship.
Wonderful. So I mean that's good. So what, I mean, I would be keen to, what is your ultimate vision for your business?
That's a good question. It develops. So I'm sorry, I haven't got COVID, I promise. We've got a cold going around the workshop at the moment.
We're socially distanced, it's okay.
Yeah, we're all very socially distanced. You can see I'm all on my own here. So ultimately the vision is I want to continue to provide opportunity for people to do enjoyable work in this location and surrounding locations. I think it came as a little bit of a surprise quite how fulfilling I find that. I find it very fulfilling, offering the ethical choices to customers, offering the eco-conscious products, and, you know, products that don't harm the skin. And that still is, you know, absolutely great, and it's a passion. But I wasn't quite clear when I started out how great it would feel to be able to offer enjoyable job opportunities to people as well. So in growing the business, in growing the sales, in growing the number of retail outlets. We have one retail outlet in Malton at the moment, our store in Malton. I want to open more stores in the north, in the surrounding area. Offer more opportunities, and of course more stores will then enable us to have demand for more products in our manufacturing capability. So the vision is, so I have in mind a number 5. I'm not quite sure where the number 5 came from, but to have 5 stores open, and the time period sort of ebbs and flows depending on how enthusiastic I'm feeling, you know, in the next 2 to 3 years. You know, that's my vision. Interestingly, we talked about challenges before. Interestingly, biggest challenges really in this drive to open more retail stores has been associated with the identification and securing properties in the right location, and by that I mean in a good town centre location. I'm not really wedded to things like big shopping malls and that sort of thing. That's not really our identity at all. It's about the vibrancy of town centres, you know, and making them places for people to go. Our Malton store is in a great location. Malton is somewhere where we can really contribute to bringing people into the town, and I really want to replicate that model, and that's proving difficult. I hadn't expected that to be the biggest challenge, but at the moment it is.
Right. Yeah, I can really see that. And as you say, finding the right location where your store would fit best. I can imagine is would be a test for that. I was just thinking about your vision, and there's a great book by a guy called Simon Sinek, which is called Start With Why. And you may have heard of it, but he's very strong on talking about many businesses talk about what they do, which is fine. That's delivering a product or service. Identifying points of difference is how we do it differently. That's you know, an enhancement in terms of differentiation. But his proposition is, when you're really clear on why you're doing what you're doing, and clearly you've got a very strong why, people start to associate very strongly with that vision and value set, and therefore become very strongly associated with you, not just because we've got a great product, but because we've got a great purpose. And I can see that shining through with you, which is wonderful.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, no, I really do, and I think it's great what you're doing. What I'm keen to know, so we've talked about challenges. What through the challenges, or maybe the successes, have you learned? What are some of your biggest learnings about business and that you've experienced so far?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a very much growing learning curve. So a learning curve that I've been on, a journey that I've been on around marketing. So I think you know, you start off and you obviously have to learn about selling and marketing. I didn't realize quite what an enormous, complex and fascinating subject it was 5 years ago. You know, I knew quite a lot about data and technology from the work I'd done before in IBM. But, you know, to understand, you know, what motivates people to enjoy the purchasing experience, what makes it easy for different types of people to access your products, you know, the importance of inclusion in the way you develop your marketing, you know, for people with learning differences, for people perhaps, you know, who can't see as well as we can. You know, for all of that, and thinking about the different audiences and how to connect emotionally with those different audiences without forgetting some of the audiences. You know, there's an awful lot of older people who, they tend to be older, who don't feel comfortable ordering online. So we introduced a telephone ordering service, and to be absolutely honest, it is a fairly loss-making part of the business, because there are an awful lot of people throughout the lockdown who genuinely were lonely and wanted someone to talk to. And, you know, I don't mind if they just buy a bar of soap, quite frequently we were on the phone because, you know, obviously we measure all the metrics of the business. We were quite frequently, our average call times were, you know, really quite high. We were frequently spending 15-20 minutes on the phone with somebody. You know, so that, you know, that is part of marketing though, isn't it? Because, you know, some people will nip onto the internet, they'll they'll fill their basket and check out, and it's all very automated. But other people need a different approach, and you need to think about, you know, inclusion in your marketing plan. And that for me was a really big learning. There's also, it's an ever-changing environment, you know, marketing with things like social media. Everybody used to be on Facebook. Young people won't touch it with a barge pole now. They're all dancing around on TikTok. You know, it's, you have to sort of stick with it and adjust and relearn. Yeah, so that I've really found really fascinating.
That's brilliant. And you know, irrespective of the loss-making aspect of what you talked about, what you're clearly doing is building relationships. So lifetime value of clients, I would suggest, may well be worth the investment of the additional time, because, you know, you will be building raving fans of you, that you're not just there to take your order and your money and move on. You're there to build relationships, and great businesses are built on great relationships without a shadow of a doubt. But the other great thing that you've identified, which is something that a lot of people miss in marketing, is actually about numbers. It's knowing your numbers. So we know what is a good return on investment for a particular marketing strategy, because some will be effective and profit making, some will be loss making, and you may or may not be surprised to know many businesses don't know the difference. So the challenge, it
helps you make decisions, doesn't it? So, you know, 100%, if you know, you know, it's absolutely right what you say. If you know all your metrics, and you know where your time and your money is being spent, and where your income and your profit is coming from, that doesn't mean you shut off all those channels that are, you know, appear to be loss-making. It means you can make the right decisions about how you develop them. And you know, it just helps you to make decisions. And I think, you know, like Sunday opening, you know, there's a lot of debate in Malton. I'm sure there is in a lot of small towns about Sunday opening, whether it is a good thing to do, whether it's a bad thing to do, whether it's a profitable thing to do or not. And you know, again, you know, there's a lot of metrics that will help you to make the decision as to whether that is right for your business. And also there's a lot of community building to be done, because if one shop in a row of shops is open on a Sunday, you know, maybe that's not going to be too much of an attractive place for people to go. But if there's a little row of shops all open and vibrant, you know, over time, I think people do migrate and start to come and have a great day out. You know, and that's good for our northern towns, because people, I think, over the last couple of years have just started to realise, re-realise possibly, how wonderful it is to come to the north, how wonderful it is to come on holiday here, how wonderful it is to come and spend time here.
Yeah, I agree. My personal opinion of high streets is they will become more and more experiential rather than a retail outlet, if you like. It's going to be more about going and enjoying the experience of buying and maybe getting a coffee or and I think, you know, the idea that we just go to buy, well, we don't need to really, if for as you say, maybe other than some demographics, buying on the internet is very quick and easy, and I get what I want. So if I'm only going to buy something I already know, then that's probably a route for many. But if I want to try things, I'm sure with your products, smell the fragrances, experience the touch and feel, and then maybe go for a coffee or a bite to eat, I think that's where you know, high streets or shopping streets need to move to. And I can see well why the right places for your outlets will be perfect in that experience.
And I think it's to pick up on your point, actually, the experiential element of town centres and retail outlets. You're absolutely right. I think, you know, to go there for an enjoyable experience, and then I think part of the development of that is about making yourself non-location specific. So if somebody has then come and had a great time, they've got that memory, you know, they may be here on holiday, they will have been to fabulous Castle Howard, had a great day, maybe come down to Malton, had a lovely lunch and a nice walk round, you know, and that's the same for many, many other towns, but I'm using Malton as an example. Had a nice lunch, come into the store, had a lovely time, wandered around, maybe, you know, not actually bought anything, that's okay, you know, had a wander around, had a smell, had a little look, but then to make yourself non-location specific by backing that up with a good online presence, I think is great. I think 5 years ago, maybe, there was a view that it was a contention between the vibrant town centre and the high street and the online shopping. I think that understanding has matured and people are now seeing that it is that experiential element of the high street backed up by the non-location specific online presence that makes the retail experience in the round.
I agree completely. I think it's that combination, as you say. It's not one or the other. It is an element of both for many businesses. No, that's great. So we've talked about obviously challenging learnings. What about influences? What have been significant influences in your career, if any?
Yeah, I mean, I've been lucky. When I was in IBM, I met some brilliant people. I mean, I met some very, very inspiring people. You know, I remember I did some work at BP a long time ago, and some of the you know, the senior management team there were just real visionaries. You know, they talked in a different language to the rest of us mere mortals. You know, they could just sort of see where the future was going. And, you know, even though BP is, you know, is all about petrol and all the rest of it, the leadership team there were already talking about, you know, green technology. And this was a long time ago, you know, and how that was going forward. I spent some time in the Middle East. The Middle East is a very interesting place because it's so young and so much has happened there over the last 20, 40 years. And yeah, again, some of the Middle East people, you know, already are seeing that the riches, if you like, the wealth that has been built on the back of oil isn't the future. The future is in green technology and is in something different. And, you know, they were talking in that way at a time where people couldn't see past, you know, the oil and the petrol. And those brilliant people were talking in that way then. You know, I've come across other people more recently at a more local level, you know, who are operating at a local level in businesses of a more modest size than you know, the large petrol companies and oil companies, but have the same capability and vision. You know, some of the people I've met here in Malton, you know, some of the shop owners, you know, they are fantastic. They have a great vision about their brand, about how to develop their brand. Some of the hoteliers and restaurant owners, again, how to develop their business, and you know, it's that inspiration from people. Everyone always talks about the guys who run Apple, don't they, about how they develop the products that people didn't know they wanted. But there's plenty of Apple people around. You know, some of them are in the oil companies and all the rest of it that I mentioned before. But some of them are here in our small towns, thinking about the future and how to develop their businesses for the good of the town, the people, and the customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I guess one of the challenges I think, especially you know, the owners of owner managed businesses and entrepreneur people is that time to set back, because we're often so busy doing the do, you know, answering the phones, making the orders and things, is having the time to sit back and think about vision. But it's so valuable, because a vision and a strong set of values are a massive differentiator with other potential competitors. And if we're not clear on them, then obviously our clients can't be clear on them, and therefore we may be just we're lost in the morass of what potentially could be seen as competition, because people don't understand why we're different.
Yeah, great point. Yeah.
So have you, I always ask people if they've picked up any, if they have any particular favorite quotes or sayings that have helped them in their successful journey. Is there anything that stands out for you?
Oh my golly, this is a difficult one. I think, oh God, loads.
Oh, great.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not sure I could repeat them verbatim now. But you know, there are so many quotes from people like, you know, Gandhi, and people that are talking about, you know, self-belief and kindness, and you know, how that is key to leadership and vision, you know, in a stronger way than you know, sort of over assertiveness, and perhaps, you know, the sort of the Gandhis of the world, and so many things that they said in about their gentleness and their kindness and their love and their peacefulness, and how those attributes are actually stronger than the sword and the iron fist. You know, so those are the sorts of things that really inspire me when I read them, and I think about those people, you know, who were just quiet, peaceful leaders, forging a path which made a great change through following the vision, which sort of takes us back to what we were talking about before, you know, being in love with their vision and bringing people with them.
Without doubt, absolutely without doubt. And I heard a phrase coined some time ago, which was fellowship, as opposed to leadership. Is you know, people like Gandhi had a massive following of people that, you know, just because he was clear on what he believed to be important, and as you said, delivered that in a very gentle and non-aggressive manner, and you know, changed his country through, you know, non-violent protest. Is a great example of that. That's wonderful.
And there's lots of great examples of that, aren't there? I mean, these days, you know, for whatever reason, there are a lot of people who have a message to convey. And some of those people are conveying those messages in very constructive ways, and building that followership. You know, it's difficult, without sounding too political, to pick out some of the names that are around currently. But if we, you know, if we think about people like, you know, I never know whether she's Greta or Greta actually, but the young schoolgirl, you know, and you know, it's a gentle message that she brings, in a gentle way, but it has created an enormous followership and made a lot of us question a lot of our own fundamental beliefs and our value systems. And you know, we don't have to agree with every single thing that these people say, but if it triggers something emotionally in us and makes us feel like we want to make a positive change, you know, that feels like a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I guess we spoke about other people. What would you say you've learned about yourself over this journey so far?
Yeah, I think what I've learned about myself from the change from working as a small part of a very big organization to working as a bigger part of a small organization, I think I've learned that, you know, I don't need all of the support and the bits and bobs that I think many of us believe we need. So I think when you sort of live a fairly traditional life, you go off to work, you come back, you do this, you do that. I think you do believe you need all that clutter around you.
Yes.
You know, you need. Sorry, it's that cold again. So you need, you know, this sort of big infrastructure of secretaries, PAs, and people to, you know, book your flights for you, and this, that, the other, and HR departments to make all the decisions for you. And you know, you do almost sort of get yourself into a mindset that all this is essential for the day-to-day living. And actually, when it's all gone, what you really need to live day to day and to do your thing and to make a difference and to contribute, it's very, very little. You know, a lot
Yes.
of it is there within yourself. You know, a lot of it is about the interactions with the people around you,
Yeah.
getting a good feeling about the place in which you're operating. So I think, you know, to declutter, I've learned
Yes.
a lot about that. You know, decluttering with all the stuff that felt so necessary and essential, and actually isn't.
Yeah. Completely agree. I've got a couple of friends that are living very, very minimalist lives, and they've moved towards it. I have to. I'm very envious of them.
Yeah.
It's just looking at how much clutter that I've, you know, personally, as opposed to business, but built up over time. And you say, "Oh my goodness!" And it's almost carrying this massive weight around when actually decluttering our lives can be really valuable. So I guess looking to the future now, and you've obviously got a very clear vision of what you want to achieve. What do you see maybe some of the challenges that you'll overcome as you achieve your vision?
Yeah, so I mean, I've talked about the sort of the ongoing challenge I have with identifying locations and properties
Yes.
to get new outlets. I think as the organisation that I am running becomes bigger, I think one of the challenges I will have is, you know, when you're employing sort of 20 people, you can sort of manage them all yourself. You know, there's a bit of
Yes.
supervisory and that sort of thing that you need, but you can sort of make sure that consistency of message, consistency of vision proliferates through the whole team. When the team is bigger, that is of itself more of a challenge. You know, that, and I think there is more time and energy that needs investing in making sure that consistency and positivity of message, commitment to the vision. So, you know, if, for example, you know, we talked about opening 5 stores, so that would mean, you know, quite a lot more people. So if we said, you know, 20 people goes to 50, 100, there's going to need to be a big focus that I need to place upon making sure that the consistency of message, vision, commitment to that vision and message proliferates through that whole larger group of people. To an extent, that was something I had, you know, I experienced in IBM when the teams were fairly large. There's an awful lot of people work for IBM around the world.
Yes.
But then, having had that experience, I think I do recognise that it is a challenge, and I think, you know, and it's something I think about. You know, what mechanisms can I use? What can I introduce to make people feel that commitment when there are more people, and perhaps people. I don't want people to feel remote. I want people to feel close. And yet when it's a bigger organisation, the closeness, you have to work harder to make that happen.
Yeah, we see this quite a lot, as you say, as you grow. I think it's dividing up. I think there's quite a significant difference between leadership and management, and dividing those two things, because management can be delegated to managers. Leadership, you know, communication of the vision, the values, the way forward is so key, and you know, in my opinion, needs to remain with the leaders. But the management, as you get more people, probably needs to be delegated, because, you know, you said 20. I'd suggest, you know, anything more than about 7 or 8 people, direct reports, is typically too much for any individual to manage effectively. So in its diversity, and as I say, it's quite interesting as businesses grow, because the leaders have been doing the management as well, and it's starting to decouple that into processes, not just personalities. And so that would make a lot of sense. And as you said, managing multiple stores is going to bring a whole bunch of other challenges, as opposed to a single store, because obviously it's that multiplication. So that's what I mean. It's been fascinating talking so far, and I guess just to sort of a last couple of interesting questions I'd just like to ask you is what would you say to somebody that was interested in going into business, was thinking about it, what would be your advice to them?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think my first message would be, don't underestimate the capability that you already have.
Brilliant.
I think there are many people, maybe they're quite young and they think, oh my goodness, I'm very young, I haven't got any experience. Maybe they are people, women or men, who have spent many years caring for kids or for elderly relatives or something, and they feel that they haven't developed a skill set over that time. Don't underestimate the experience you have and the value of that experience and what you have to bring. Secondly, I think there is the clarity of your vision. It is a good idea to be clear on what you're trying to do. That doesn't necessarily mean it can never change, because it will mature and it will develop, but it's a good start point to know what you're trying to achieve and what your vision is. Thirdly, make sure you actually like it and believe in it, because it's going to be pretty difficult if you don't like and believe in what you've actually stated your vision to be, because it's going to be fairly difficult to be passionate about it, and you will need that passion to see you through the difficult days and to bring people who are a bit skeptical with you. So make sure you do fall in love with that vision. The maturing vision, as I said, it may change. And then I think the next is, understand as part of that, who you are taking that vision to. Who is your audience for that vision? They may be customers, they may be paying customers, or your vision may be around something completely different. It might be around something more charitable. But who is your audience? And how do you best connect with that audience? If they are the public purchasing items, how is the best way to connect with them so that they feel it's an easy decision to purchase from you because they've bought into your vision too?
Yep. Wow.
That's about it.
Well, that's what a great set of advice. It's interesting that I think your first point is very close to my heart as a business coach, and I think the reason I'm a business coach, not a business advisor or consultant, is my proposition is consultants and advisors tell, whereas coaches ask. And for me, coaching is about drawing out of the person what they want to achieve, supporting with knowledge that they may or may not have. But it's about supporting somebody to develop their own way forward, rather than, as you said, being told what you should or shouldn't do just doesn't work for many people, and that can dilute the vision that they have. So helping them, but clarify that and as you say, communicate effectively is a wonderful thing. So, but a great set of advice for somebody. And finally, going back to you personally, what advice might you give to an 18-year-old you if you were able to go back in time?
Oh my goodness, that's easy. Yeah. Brilliant. It's all going to be fine. It's all going to be absolutely fine, and you're going to have a ball.
What a great and wonderful thing to say. Absolutely, because it is. It's I think one of the things my belief is there just aren't any right or wrongs. So whatever it is great. It's it may be different to somebody else's great, but if it's great for us, that's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Clara, it's been an absolute delight, and thank you so much. There's been some real gold in so many things that you've said, and it's really fascinating how you've taken your experience of working for a very, very large company, and taking the bits that are valuable to you in working, as you say, from starting a small company, and the outlook that you have and the ethical nature of your vision is very, very inspiring, I have to say. So I'm really keen to obviously thank you for today. Is there any last words or thoughts that you have for anybody that might be listening or watching this? Yeah, no, thank you. And thank you very much for this opportunity, and thank you for the conversation. I've really, really enjoyed it.
I think, yeah, final message, you know, if anybody is just thinking, you know, dare I, you know, start and break away from what I'm doing, because I'd quite like to do so, and I think I've got something inside, you know, I would say go for it. You know, go for it. You do dare.
Brilliant. Do dare. I think that is incredibly sound advice, and you know, yeah, just wonderful advice. So thank you so much, and it's been an absolute pleasure. And perhaps we could, I would love to maybe come back in a year or two's time and see how many stalls we have by then. I've got the number 5 in my mind too.
I've got to get looking.
Thank you, Clara. Thank you so much.
Thank you.